Desert Boy here. Hey, before we get into this video talking about best handgun for bear defense, I just want to bring up a couple of things. One of them is, first of all, I'm a hobbyist and enthusiast. I'm not a hunter, and I'm sharing with you what my thoughts are about what I think might be a best handgun for myself that I'm looking at, the possibilities for bear defense. And I want to emphasize that really the preferred defense for bear or other large and dangerous game is always an appropriate long gun. In this case, something like, maybe this Henry 4570 would be one that I would choose for myself with the appropriate ammunition. As you can see, it's unloaded. Or other long guns, and not just any long gun. It has to be appropriate caliber and it's proper for whatever you're facing. So just something to think about there. And remember, these are just my thoughts and opinions on that for myself. And I just want to remind you, long gun, the handgun that I'm going to discuss, that's more for me as a backup, right? Or if I was somewhere, maybe in the woods, and I thought that I might need something that's more powerful. I might have that with me, but the first thing is always preferred as a long gun of the appropriate caliber and ammunition. Once again, ammunition is key for both long guns and handguns. And then also, always take into account that, having bear spray, some people carry two, would be something to consider. I'm still researching that myself. And I also understand they have like practice cans, I guess, that they allow you to practice how you would, I don't know, have a pin on there or whatever. I haven't really seen one. But it doesn't disperse anything to my understanding, but it's just to help you be prepared, to be as safe as possible in whatever you're doing. So once again, want to get the best, most preferred thing for whatever game you think you might encounter or threat that you might encounter. In this case, it's always going to be something like appropriate caliber long gun with appropriate ammo. The handgun is a backup with appropriate ammo and so forth, appropriate handgun for that caliber that you might need for that situation. And then, something like bear spray as the other deterrent or maybe choice for the encounter. Every situation is different. If you read up on it, I did recommend you talk to your own experts, talk to people, read up on those situations that you could face. As Desert Boy always says, be safe out there, whatever you're doing. So now let's get into the video and what Desert Boy thinks might work for him as a bear defense handgun. Howdy, Desert Boy here. Hey, I was just talking the other day about, give you an update about what I was doing, but what I've also been thinking about, and I alluded to it in there, was what am I going to use for a bear defense gun up here in Montana? Something we didn't have to contend with really in Nevada. I guess there could be a black bear somewhere in this years, but not really that much. There could be some, maybe in some other parts of the state. There are some other mountains, but up here you don't just have black bears. You have, which of course can appear in different colors. And if you've ever seen, some of them are black, some are cinnamon. They get different colors. But there's also grizzly bears up here. Not to mention, things like instead of just, antelope and deer and elk, there's also moose up here. So most people talk about bear defense loads, but yeah, there are such things as the moose up here too. So, but anyway, let's just talk for a minute about that. So I've been thinking this over, and I've been going, well, what should I go with, right? Now, I do have one of the things I bought that was kind of on a whim, but I thought was kind of interestingly versatile before I knew I was moving up into the Mountain West, was this Smith & Wesson Governor. Now, they used to call this a Z-frame, I think. It's got an extremely long cylinder, and we can see that it's empty, right? That it's empty. And this one happens to have the night sights on it. And you'd think, well, this is a pretty big gun. You ought to be able to put whatever kind of, and it's essentially 45, right? It's 40. It will shoot 45 Colt, right? 45 Colt has a very slight rim on it. It will shoot 45 ACP, right? With moon clips. In other words, you can either put them in a pair in case you want to put other things in the other cylinders, or you can load them up with 6 of them, right? 45 ACP, just like your 1911 or maybe a Model 25, certain Model 25s. Or you can use 410 shot shells in it of certain kinds. So it's a very versatile gun. If you wanted to, in here, you could put, because of this 2 kind of arrangement, you could put 2 45 ACPs, 2 45 Colts, and 2 410 shotguns if you wanted. And I guess kind of select it to which one you think you want to be the one to come up first. And that's why some people kind of like these, right? Because they have that versatility. Now, one thing, forget about this. If you were like, well, I want to put some 45 Colt, extra hot loads in there, 45 Colt plus Ps, I wouldn't do that. And to my knowledge, and I haven't talked to Smith & Wesson about it, to my knowledge, that's not something that should be in these. These are scandium frame guns. This is not an extra heavy gun. In fact, it's fairly light for its size. So to my understanding, you can shoot, like these 45 Colt, to the 225 grain FTX in there, some cowboy action loads, the 45 ACP, and certain ones of the 410s. But, and I have shot those in there, and I have some videos on that, or a video at least. But to my understanding, these are not rated for plus P use. So, that's my understanding about these. And I would contact Smith & Wesson. So what it says on it is 45 Colt, 45 ACP, 410, 2.5. So they have to be 2.5-inch shells too. That's the other part of it. Once again, it's a scandium frame, and it really doesn't weigh as much as you might think it does. So I'm like, well, this one here it's nice. Yeah, I could carry these. Other loads are pretty heavy, but that's probably not going to meet that's not going to meet my need for a bear defense gun. Now, the other thing is nowadays 10 millimeters probably the important one. From what I've been reading and seeing, there's some issue around whether it has a fully supported chamber. And I have to do more research on that, but I feel like that's important because it has to do with, what kind of load you put in there, and very important. I don't know much about the 10 millimeter, so I'm not going to speak to that. There's a lot of other good videos out there, and there's, your own experts. You need to consult your own experts, your own folks that talk to the manufacturers, talk to the ammunition people, just like with this. If you wanted to shoot something different in there you think's more powerful, you need to talk to, the manufacturer or the ammo folks about it, But so I need something, and I said, well, I do have a 45 Colt, but this is a single action, right? But this is, and we'll check it unloaded for our purposes. We can see there's no rounds in there. Okay, but this is, in my understanding with Uberte and with talking to Taylor's and Company, mainly they don't even want you using self-defense type ammo in these. They want you to stick to like cowboy action type ammo, lead type ammo with these. I do have a Vaquero, right? But a Vaquero is a new Vaquero, I should say, and it's not, the old Vaqueros have a larger frame, and I'm not going to try to address that, but those of you that are aware, there's a difference in maybe what loads you can put in there, but in the new Vaqueros, you're only supposed to, have standard pressure, just like this one, standard pressure type rounds in there in 45 Colt. Mine's a 45 Colt. I did have a Black Hawk at one time, and I did shoot plus Ps in that. And I have been contemplating, should I get another Black Hawk, because it's actually, the 10 millimeters, they also vary in price. You can probably get them from, I think I've seen them maybe as low as $450 or $500, up to how much do you want to pay for one. The Blackhawk, probably, I don't know, I would guess it's probably in about the 800, 850, somewhere near in that price range where I'm at. But that's a single action. If you're in a situation where you need to shoot multiple times, you probably like to have something where you want a double action where every time you pull the trigger, the gun's going to fire, right? So these are single actions. Now, to get a double action, there's Ruger Red Hawks, right? So that would be maybe another option to think about. But those are kind of hard to find, and they are not cheap. You're going to probably pay well over $1,000 for something like that. So, I'm going, do I get, do I do 45 Colt? 45 ACP, I think is probably not, it's not, I don't know anything about, I'm not a hunter, right? Remember, I'm a hobbyist enthusiast, but 45 ACP, to my understanding, is not going to have the ballistics for that. 45 Colt, probably a 45 Colt plus P, but that's something, like I said, there's a lot of other videos out there. I'm just talking about this from my viewpoint, for my use. 10 millimeter, yes, but once again, it all comes down to, what the weapon is and what ammunition that you have. You want to make sure you got the right weapon and the right ammunition for whatever you're going to use it for. In my case, I'm looking for something for bear defense. So I'm contemplating that, and of course, the one thing that most of us are well aware of is that there's the venerable 44 Magnum, right? 44 mag, right? And it's very powerful, most of the time, you're going to have, muzzle, your muzzle velocity is going to be in 1,000 feet per second or more. We're probably up for hunting rounds, probably more up in 1,400 feet per second kind of thing out of say a 6-inch or something like that. And of course, with the 44 mag, if I bought that, I'd have the option of, if I wanted to use 44 specials for self-defense. Now, these are not small guns. These are not really like easy concealed carry guns because, they're just huge. Usually they're on a large frame, end frame, something like that. Or if you have the X frame, like you have a 460 XVR, I think some of those will shoot 45 Colt. But they shoot 460 Magnums, I guess you could go into that realm. But these are enormous guns, right? So, and I don't want anything that big. So I started thinking about, well, what do I get, right? The 44 mag does have the versatility of the 44 special. But, for my purposes, if I'm using it for a bear defense gun, then I want to be able to have follow-up shots. And those are pretty stout, and I'm not a youngster anymore, So, of course, I've been watching, like many of us, Mr. Plowboy's Ghost channel, and he's had quite a discussion going on about the 41 Magnum. And the 41 Magnum, and that goes back to people that are more versed in it than I am, but I guess Elmer Keith and Bill Jordan, and there might have been one other guy, Skeeter, I think, there was a writer that were in there, but they were trying to find a round that was more powerful than the 357, right? Here's a 357 round. Here's a 44 mag round, right? Quite a bit bigger, but not as powerful as the 44 mag. And they wanted one that would maybe be good for police use, in a lighter loading, maybe a smaller bullet, or one for hunting. So what Plowboy's Ghost has been talking about is the 41 mag. Now, this is a 41 mag, 210 grain. Just happened I was in the store and I saw some, and I've been entertaining the idea of maybe trying to find one. I've talked to somebody who can maybe get me one. They're not cheap, okay? If you want to get I'll probably get this wrong. There's Model 57 and Model 58 Smith & Wessons. I can't remember which ones they're making right now. I think it's 57s that are the 6-inch classic one. It's about $1,160. Now, you can get a Ruger Blackhawk that is probably going to be more in the $850 to $900 range. But this 41 Magnum is supposed to be a bit milder than the 44, but it still has plenty of muzzle velocity. This Cowboy Action, right, lead one here, is rated at, for Hunting Shack, Montana, 969 feet per second. That's pretty robust for a Cowboy Action round, okay? And it's 210 grains. I also ran across some 41 mag that was 230 grain, right? Lead semi-wad cutter, gas checked, bare load at 1,233 feet per second. So I went ahead and I purchased some of this ammo while it was there. When I went back, it wasn't there. But between the Cowboy Action, and I got about 58 rounds of that, 60 rounds of the bare load, I figured I have enough to, sight a gun in if I get a 41 Magnum. But that is something that I am thinking of doing. Now, we'll see what happens, because I have to have money, decide that I want to spend that much. So I think about that. I think, well, I could buy, 2 guns for that, maybe a rifle and a gun, stuff like that. Lots of ammo. It's a lot of money to invest. But I would probably pick the Smith & Wesson because I would like to have the double action, right? That's really what's important there. Being able to have a follow-up shot, and it wouldn't be as much recoil as the 44 Magnum. It's still going to be pretty robust. I mean, that's not, I don't believe it's going to be easy. But anyway, just wanted to share with you some of my thinking about that, 45 Colt plus P, yeah, I thought about doing that, but unless I can find a Red Hawk, and there's some Red Hawk only ammo that some manufacturers have, like Garrett and stuff, for that, or the Smith & Wesson, those are the main double actions out there. Otherwise, you got to go single action, and I think, you have to decide that's what you want to do, with that. Of course, there is, some people would pick the Alaskan. I think that's a popular one that people like to carry out and about, but that's in, I think, 480 Ruger, and I want to say 454 Casull, and I think might be 44 Magnum, I can't remember. But anyway, we're getting into, these are pretty heavy guns, and it would be nice to have one that you get enough velocity on it to do the job, and with the right ammunition, and not be wearing your wrist out, when you're trying to go to the range and sight it in, or try to enjoy shooting a few rounds. So that's my take on it. Reed Desert Boy, whatever your comments are there, as Reed Desert Boy always says, be safe out there, whatever you're doing. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye now.